We're not going to start building your house, your castle, your empire, your temple with a dirty foundation, wrong mindsets, wrong beliefs. We can't. You're just going to build on top of that and it's going to crumble again.
Nurses, nurse coaches, welcome back to the Nurse Coach Collective podcast. If you are interested in learning about how energy work and spirituality and the lunar rhythm can fit in with your nurse coaching practice, you're going to really enjoy today's episode with my guest, Danaysi Castañeda. Danaysi is a transformative nurse coach, a spiritual leader devoting to helping nurses, parents, and conscious souls awaken their purpose and live in harmony with love and the lunar rhythm. Danaysi, it is an honor to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you, Heather. It's my honor. You know how much I admire you and everything that you've done for my transformation. So it's an honor to be here.
I can't wait to hear more about that because I think you have had quite the transformation and you've taken this in a really unique direction. And we have a lot of nurses who come into this world of nurse coaching or holistic healing, and there are these certain areas of interest they have that feel almost a little bit more like buzzwords, right? You hear energy, you hear spirituality, and they're things that people want to bring more into their practice. But I say that they're buzzwords because so many of us don't know actually what those words mean. So I'm very, very excited to dive into how this has all come into fruition for you and like what that language has meant for you in your life and in your practice.
It was a journey in itself to even figure out those buzzwords for me, because that was not in my realm at all before I started with the Nurse Coach Collective, before I started this journey. I mean, I was just so in another world. And the more that I did work on myself, the more that I did the work and followed the journey and followed my own program, it just transformed my entire perception of life, my entire perception of who I am and what I had been through and what I had to do with what I had dealt with. Why was I going through everything that I was going through? And what was the ultimate purpose for all of these lessons and all of these experiences were just kind of happening in life until, of course, we make that shift into things happen for us. And then we start saying things happen for us. But even then, it still feels like, why am I still being punished sometimes?
Okay, so we're talking in a bit of abstract terms about your journey and these things that have happened to you or with you or for you. Talk to me in more specifics, in more detail. Like, what was your journey before you even knew about nurse coaching? And then like, what brought you into the realm of nurse coaching? And then after that, I'm going to ask you like, and then you got to nurse coaching and what took you into the realm that you're now in, where you've sort of settled and specialized?
When you first asked me that, the first thing that pops up is this real desire that I had when I became a nurse to get closer to my humanity. I kept saying that. I want to get closer to my humanity. I feel so detached from my humanity. And I felt like nursing was going to be that route. And a little voice in my head, my higher self now, I know, kept reminding me that it was the path, it was the road that I had to take. But it still didn't feel like I was close to my humanity before. I feel so detached, so disconnected. And when I started in the Nurse Coach Collective and we started doing all this inner work and I started to understand myself in a deeper level that had never happened before, I understood that that was the way to my humanity, to get to know myself, to get to know who I am, not just on a deeper level, but in community, in a relationship, with my son, being a mother, becoming a mother, because that happened after I became a mother and I was so lost and fears and doubts and all of these things I didn't want to repeat from my childhood, which was very subconscious. It wasn't really in the forefront of my vision what was actually happening, but subconsciously I knew that I had to shift so much of me, which I didn't want to pass on to my son. There were things that I was just not okay with. in my foundation. And I wanted to create a new foundation. That was a real desire, very subconscious. But the deeper we go within, the deeper we get to understand why we're feeling what we're feeling, why these messages are coming through, why we're doing what we're doing.
So when you were in your initial stages of being a nurse, right? And obviously you were drawn to that for all the reasons of probably wanting to connect with the humanity of yourself, of other people, of being a healer. What did it actually feel like when you had that disconnect?
When I was a nurse or after?
Yeah, like when you're still working in your original settings. I know that part of your journey has been going from like the place of burnout to coming into the place of alignment, and that's something that you get to really specialize helping other people in. I'm wanting to see if you can paint that picture for me of like, what was it like to be disconnected from that humanity that you were so deeply craving?
A lot of it felt like out of control with what I truly wanted to be doing. And I loved nursing. I mean, I used to book myself on my birthday on the calendar for work. Like, I loved going to work. When I was there, a lot of the disconnect happened when my voice wasn't heard, my concerns weren't addressed. I didn't really feel like I was giving my all, like what I really could do to help the person. I would see the same patterns. Oh, the same patterns. That would drive me nuts. I can't do that. And that's literally what the Lunar Cycle Program is for, is to break patterns very fast. Because those loops would get me so frustrated of just the same thing over and over. And I know that my true self, is able to break out of those patterns and keep moving, keep going, keep flowing, keep going with life. And that wasn't happening. That was not happening. It was just loop and the same loop. And it never seemed to get better. It was only getting worse. So the whole getting worse part, I think, was the biggest disconnect that I had, because that doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, it's so interesting hearing you talk about this, because I think most nurses are able to describe their own version of this, but it's in very tangible terms, like we talk about being stuck in the sick care cycle, right? We see the revolving door, that loop. We feel it as nurses, getting stuck in this cycle of burnout. So there's a lot of these repeats, loops, cycles, habits, behaviors, mindsets that we get stuck in. What I love about listening to you talk is that you're almost able to like interpret all of this through that mindset lens, and also just kind of like the wholeness of your being. And I think we often, as nurses, as humans, are quite disconnected from that, of like, hey, it's not just a systemic problem of sick care. It's not just that I'm burnt out with my job. It's like there's something out of alignment with my soul, with my spirit, with my energy. And the reason why it hurts so bad, the reason why it's so painful, is because we have this higher self somewhere inside of us, internally, externally, that sometimes we're lucky if we get to hear it, right? But sometimes it's just such a quiet whisper, and we have to listen really hard and be like, oh, what is that voice that's telling me to do something different? So what I'm hearing when I listen to you talk here, Danaysi, is it sounds like entering into the world of nurse coaching like gave you that permission to listen to that voice and to step into those pieces of yourself that were like, hey, get us out of here, bring us into a different side of healing, both for yourself and obviously for the clients that you then now get to go on to support. Does that resonate?
Oh, 100%. 100%. The mindset is huge, huge. We can literally shift timelines with our mindset frequency, because those mindsets feed the frequency that we're calling in. Those mindsets of fear, doubt, guilt. That's the beginning. That's like the label of the mindset, when you really put a label on the mindset. And in the same way, when we go to the other side of the spectrum of emotions, energy, we get to have different mindsets at a higher perspective with higher consciousness that allows us to see the same situation from a completely different mindset, which allows us to have a different feeling, a different emotion, a different energy. And it really, the more we pile on that energy, the more we continue to stay in that energy, we become that energy. So just like we feed our fears, we become fear. We've become anger, we become guilt. It's like, if we can become these things, let's become the best of the best that we can. And that's what I figured out in that transition. It's like, oh, wow, I'm becoming all these identities that don't serve me. I'm glad I got to know them. I'm glad I got to experience them. All these shadows that were in the dark and they weren't illuminated until the light came through. And now that I get to integrate them and let them grow into something more meaningful, more helpful, more light, more magnetizing to what I actually want to create in my life.
So talk to me then about how you have paralleled this personal growth and personal development journey with the creation of what is now your nurse coaching practice. I mean, you call yourself not only a transformative nurse coach, but also a spiritual leader, also an energy healer, right? So what does your nurse coaching practice look like today, allowing you to bring in and incorporate all of those pieces? And I ask this because I want to help bring clarity to the nurses and nurse coaches who are listening, and they're still in that kind of buzzword land where they're like, oh, but I am interested in spirituality, I am interested in energy healing, but I don't actually get it. I don't actually get what it looks like in practice with a client and how to combine this with the health and wellness coaching side of things.
To me, that has been very meaningful, that as I work on my own spirituality, it's going to help me, and it has been helping me lead other leaders into their own spirituality. So for me to be able to reach that point, I really had to devote my life to my energy and really staying within my practice, within my routines, within my rituals. Because one of the main rules that I follow now is to eat my own advice. I can't even give advice of something that I haven't experienced myself, because immediately the universe puts me on a journey to go on that and really experience that advice that I'm giving, really following my own advice all the time, really following what comes through my voice, and following through with that has been transformational. And that has allowed me to come from a place of integrity when I stand in front of another leader and I guide them into their own leadership. So that's what I do. No matter what I'm a leader in, I manage to help the leader guide them into their own leadership, their own mastery of their own true self. And that's become my practice. My practice is not about being the expert of energy, not about being the expert of the moon, not about being the expert of nursing. It's the expert of me. I'm the expert of me now. I know me, I know who I am, and I devote myself to me every single day, first in the morning, like first thing before I get anything done. I come first now. It's never happened.
And what a absolute opposition to the way that most people live, especially most nurses and most healers, where we instead have this mindset that we have to first give and give and give, and then only save for ourselves what maybe is left over, if anything. Or we also take on this mindset that's like, if I'm going to be able to help you, then I have to be the expert. Then I have to be the expert on you and what you're going through. If you're coming to me with a challenge in your health, I better know all about that health challenge so that I can tell you to do X, Y, and Z. You're saying quite the opposite. You say, no, I'm not the expert on you. I'm the expert on me. And because I am empowered in that way, I get to help you become the expert on you to go through your experience.
Yeah, it's so simple. It's simplified life so much. It simplified the way that I'm able to help everyone, basically, because human to human, we can tap into your higher self, and you know you best. And no matter what you're hiding behind all that greatness and all that power and all of your gifts, we can bring them up. We can bring them out.
Tell me more about your coaching program that is kind of like the at the forefront of what it is that you offer. I think that is that the Lunar Cycle Program. How is it set up? Who is it for? And why is it so effective for people?
Little background on that. It's now been 7 years. My son's now is about to be 7 in 2 weeks. So he really activated my awakening and everything that I had to finally do. I get to finally do all these things. I was really sick. I was really, really sick. I had no idea that my burnout was actually me dying in so many ways. My body was really sick. And I did so many things that I believe were the best in my journey. So what I desired was to put together a program that didn't take so long to figure out what the next step was. And that's what I did with the Lunar Cycle Program. The first 30 days is all about detoxing. We're not going to start building your house, your castle, your empire, your temple with a dirty house, with a dirty foundation, with wrong mindsets, wrong beliefs. We can't. You're just going to build on top of that and it's going to crumble again. And that's not what I believe in at all. I know the truth is we got a clean house and then we get to bring in the furniture, the people, the everything that goes inside your castle. So that's what I do in the Lunar Cycle Program. The first day, we strictly focus on detoxing. Mindset, your body, your energy, your habits. And it's amazing because in those 30 days, it normally takes 90 days to create transformation, but it doesn't. When you're able to remove the blockages and remove the obstacles and you're able to bring in all of your resources that you already have, you figure out that you have everything you need to get to the next place that you're trying to bring in.
Interesting. So yeah, there is this common belief and even the science says it can take 90 days or 3 months to build new habits and to create change in new behaviors. And what you're adding to that is, well, yeah, sure, it can. Change can take that amount of time. But usually that's because we try to start wherever we are and then just add change on top of that. But there's this critical step that has to come first, which is like, but hold on, we don't want this to be the foundation where we start at. We don't want this to be the one that's full of all the noise. Peter and I in the Nurse Coach Collective, we have a motto that's like, what got you here won't get you there. So if you're on your journey of growth, we need to put in so much to get to this highest level of where we can be at right now. But then if our highest self is calling us to become more elevated, and it always is because this journey never ends, then those tools, those mindsets, those skills, the house that we were living in, right, metaphorically, that got us to this place, those aren't going to be the same things that get to this place. So sometimes there's this dismantling, this detoxifying that is just pivotal to take place. And hey, maybe when we do that, as you're saying here, Danaysi, like it doesn't have to take 90 days. It can be that almost like 30-day transformation. And I'm sure for a lot of your clients, you see it happen before you get to that mark, right? Like you see it happening all along the way.
Yeah, and it's magical. And you know that, when we start coaching, we have a goal and then it transforms into something so much bigger. But with that step of detoxing, magical, massive things happen very, very quickly, a lot faster than when we're just trying the same things that we were doing before that weren't working for us.
Yeah, and I love this language of detoxing because especially in the nursing world, in the health and wellness world, I think my brain at least, and I think for most people, it goes to like, detoxing our livers and detoxing what you eat and what you drink and maybe what you consume, right? The media and all, you drink your green juice and all, but it's so much more than that when you look at it
and
holistically.
That's one of the pillars too. The detoxing with the nutrition and the liver, that is 100% body, part of the body detox. We detox the body, we detox the mind, and we detox the spirit. So we're doing all of it at once.
Okay, so detoxing the body, I think most people understand that part. Detoxing the mind, you've talked about that in terms of like shifting those mindsets, those limiting beliefs, reshaping some of those stories that you have been living with until this point, those loops that you're stuck in. Talk to me about detoxifying the spirit. What does that mean?
Oh my gosh, energy, your space, your environment, things that you give your energy to, things that you're bringing into your space, into your bubble, into your energy field. That has a lot to do with spirituality, because you can really feel your energy and you can really hear yourself or your higher self in a cluttered environment. And we could be cluttered. Our external environment, this is a fact, reflects our internal environment. And when we detox from the inside, innately, our body requires a different environment. So when we're doing both at the same time, we get to stay balanced, we get to stay grounded. So we're cleaning the house, we're cleaning our environment, I delete everything from my emails, my phone, my pictures every single month, every single lunar cycle. I keep just the very, 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 very important things, but I don't leave anything for, I may use that another time. If I haven't used it by now, it's probably not going to be useful. And when I release that, it still comes back to me in a different form, in a different energy for the time that I needed at that time, in that day, in that time frame. Moving the energy around us is super helpful. When the energy around us is stagnant, we become stagnant. When we're thinking the same things, we get stuck in loops. When we're not exercising, we add on more weight and more pains in our body because the energy wants to move and it wants to be free and it wants to keep us going. Constantly, we're creating manifestations. We're creating things all the time. We're creators. And as we're creating, that creation can come to us quickly if there's things in the way. So if we want to have more water and our cup is full, we can't fill any more water in that cup. It's just not going to happen. So we have to create room for what we want. If you want the apple juice or the green juice, you gotta stop drinking the alcohol.
And for our listeners, I will admit that I have an understanding and an appreciation of this work because I do this work. I teach this work. Even for me, having this conversation is challenging, right? We are talking about concepts that are, even for someone who lives and breathes this work, it's hard to describe. And I think part of that is true across the field in nurse coaching, right? So much of it is experiential, right? You just kind of have to go through it, have to go through your own growth, have to receive coaching, coach somebody else to understand what this is all about. That said, I think you're doing a really great job here of trying to tease apart these pieces, right? Because it makes sense when I think about decluttering my desk, my external environment, got that. But when I also tie that in with how do I declutter what's going on up here or what's going on in here? Pain, you mentioned pain, if there's pain in your body, what are those things that I can release and let go of? It's going to then help me shed off some of those pain bodies. This is totally fascinating and really, really cool that you have discovered this is yes, I am holistic healer and I serve the whole person, but this is my calling of where I get to really go deep into that energy side of things.
Yeah.
Nurses and newer nurse coaches, a lot of times where they really get stuck is they want to understand, what does this actually look like in practice? So far you've told us you have this 30-day coaching program that you offer. What does a day in the life for you as Danaysi, as a transformative nurse coach? What does a day in the life kind of look like for you in terms of the work you do on the day-to-day?
Yeah, like I said, I do my rituals first thing in the morning. I tend to myself first thing in the morning. So I wake up, and it's a huge improvement from when I used to wake up and feeling bogged down by life and things and the things that I had to do. I wake up now and I tune in to what I need to do. And coming from that space, coming from that energy, I'm in control of what I'm doing. And I'm also in co-creation with what I created for myself that day. If I have plans, if I have appointments, if I have something on the schedule. I need to know that I need to clear the space and clear the energy and do the right rituals for that day to match the type of energy that I need to accomplish those goals. If I have an easy day of just calls and hanging out with my son, I can probably have like a big breakfast and take my time doing things and just enjoy everything. But if I have a busy, busy day and I have to do land work, because I work in a lot of lands now, that's part of what's brought me to creating sanctuaries in people's homes, working in the land. If I have to do a lot of that physical work, I'm going to fuel up with my nutrition shake, with cacao, like all these things that higher my energy. And also my journaling really elevates my energy because it's a connection to what I truly need to be doing on that day. So really checking in with myself first thing in the morning, doing my own program first thing in the morning before I tend to do that. And then I post something on the Practice Better to add to the day of. So the program's already preset, but then every day is a new day. And every day I want new energy to come forth. It's become creating a sanctuary everywhere I am, everywhere I go, with everything that I do, and really tending to myself as something holy, something divine. Really tuning into my divinity, really tuning into my feminine energy more than my masculine energy that I was really running on my whole life, which drove me to burnout. We have this masculine energy and we have this feminine energy. We all do. Part of my ritual is to connect my right side, my masculine energy, to my left side, my feminine energy, and allow them to co-create the day with me. Co-create the date for me. So I release a lot of worries. I release a lot of fears. And just knowing that I did what I had to do to center myself, to ground myself. And then what comes after that is very much in alignment. So when things seem to be challenging or something comes my way, it doesn't feel as unstable or that I can't handle it. It's just, let me just be present. Let me be in the moment. There's nothing to fear here. I created this morning. My higher self is setting this up for me. And everything is great. Like everything is fine, no matter what's happening. And I get to say this because I have experienced it and I have been put through the challenges and all of the things that, that challenged me to actually get here. And now I get to sit still when the boat is still rocking.
Interesting. And that I hear you say that through the lens of like, that doesn't mean there's not still shitty days, right? It doesn't mean there's not still challenges that come up on a day-to-day or in life in general. But when you are treating yourself that way and every day is honoring yourself and your journey and setting up your spaces internally and externally, it's like, again, we come back to that very first topic we came up, like things in life happening for you, happening with you, rather than completely throwing you off kilter. It's more like, okay, this is the day. We are working through this together on this journey rather than being in opposition to each other.
It flows so much better that way. Everyone and everything and every situation is part of that intention that I set in the morning. And I have to honor that. I have to honor that I made the right choice, that I made the right calling, and that I'm going to get the right lessons for what I need that day.
Okay, quickly, I know this could be like a topic for an entire episode, but tell me about the type or types of clients that you work with, because I know you've supported crazy amounts of people who are very different phases of life, different types of human beings. Share with me the type of client that has benefited from this kind of work.
Nurses. Nurses. I kept saying that in order to help my nurses, I had to be on the other side. That's been really deep because to be able to see nurses do their work and like loving it from a place of no stress, tending to themselves, tending to their needs, speaking their voice, being able to create their day as they want it to be, has been really magical to experience because I'm not experiencing it myself. I didn't go back to nursing, the traditional nursing. I consider myself retired, but I had to. It was something that I had to do to be on the other side. And my higher self was really clear about that. I couldn't bring anybody up to a higher place if I was in that place with them, in that lower state with them, the lower energy of stress and anxiety and depression. And that's been really magical to see the nurses still be able to do such incredible work that they do, and also be in a state of happiness and joy and peace and just creating the life that they want. Same with parents. That's been huge. I went through a divorce. I was going through a completely deconstruction of my life, and I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle my environment. I couldn't handle my marriage. I couldn't handle where I was. And I just, I had to remove myself from that. That was my journey. But I've also been able to help families stay together, not even have to think about divorce anymore, because when we have that focus of let's just end it all, we get it. We end it all. And that's what I got. And that's, and now I get to use that in the ways that I needed to. But back then I didn't know how to use that energy. So now I get to use that energy correctly to end the things I need to end and grow the things I need to grow.
So for any of our listeners who have been entertaining the question, which I think we have all entertained at some point, which is like, can I really serve and support people if I myself in this challenge right now or have navigated this exact challenge? And you're saying like, yeah, it's because I've been that nurse and traveled through this journey that I'm now able to support those people so powerfully. It's because I have been that mother or been that wife or been in that relationship and navigated through my journey to reaching these higher levels that you're able to go now back and serve and support and like be that light that you probably would have so desperately been ready, maybe not ready, but, would have been helpful for you at that time. And now you get to go back and be that for others, which I think a lot of nurse coaches find is that, oh, isn't it amazing that who I'm drawn to helping are these past versions of myself, right? These past identities that I've had in some way, shape, or form. I'm going to read something actually, if it's okay, Danaysi, that you shared with me, because I think it's a fascinating and very all-encompassing description of who you help and the kind of people that one nurse coach can serve and support inside of one practice. So you said, I've helped nurses step into their peace and joy in just 30 days, releasing burnout and rediscovering their calling with renewed energy. I've guided women who once sabotaged loving relationships to heal their subconscious wounds, allowing them to finally receive and enjoy the love they once pushed away. I've supported mothers in transforming self-hatred into deep self-love, creating stronger bonds with their children, their partners, and their divine purpose. I've watched young women meet their soulmates and break free from the trauma bonds that once kept them from union. I've helped men restore their confidence and personal power, reigniting their passion to serve children, families, and communities with greater love and impact. I've guided clients to overcome cancer through detoxification, mindset shifts, and soul healing, restoring balance to their bodies, minds, and hearts. Every soul I touch, whether through coaching or a single encounter, begins to awaken love within themselves, and that love transforms everything it touches. I chose love even when life felt impossible, and now I live in devotion to helping others do the same. When we live through the energy of love, life itself becomes infinite. So if anyone has ever wondered what a nurse coach can do and why this work can be so powerful, and through your lens, Danaysi, especially when combined with this soul work, this spirit work, with energy work, that's it right there, right? Because it's all encompassing, it is infinite, and there's really no one who cannot be served by this type of work, because after all, here we are, all human beings on this earth on our own growth journeys. I'm so grateful to have had this time to talk with you and connect with you and learn more about what you do and your practice. Any final thoughts or message that you want to leave with those nurses who are newer to this world and maybe still asking themselves the questions of, how can I be in better touch with my humanity? Right now, I feel stuck in the same cycles inside of the nursing world. Any words you want to leave them with?
Listen to yourself. Listen to your truth. And learn to really connect with that voice within yourself, because it is the one guidance that is going to get you into all of the places that you want to be, all of the relationships you want to be, the life you want to create. And it's you. It's all about you. And it's not a selfish thing. It is a necessary step that we must learn in order to find balance within us, because we have been conditioned to give to others for so long that in the beginning stages and for a long time after that, it is going to be a lot about you. If you can make it all about you and remove yourself for 30 days and really do that healing work for 30 days, you can always come back to the world and be a better person, be able to serve in a much better way, and become more powerful in your impact than in creating this new world that we're all creating for ourselves, or the inner child inside of us. And I'm a huge advocate for the new children that are being born. They deserve to have a new experience with what life on earth here actually is and can be once we've experienced hell, in a way. All of the things that we don't like, we get to create from an empowered place heaven here on earth every day. It takes daily work, just like you're doing right now. Is just going to feel more empowering and more beautiful and more magical. Life is going to feel magical. Oh, this is happening for me. Yeah. This.
Well, I'm so glad that you mentioned the importance of the intentional ways in which we bring new life into the earth, because I am myself getting ready to bring this new life into the earth in a matter of weeks at this point. And you're right. It's like, again, we could have a whole episode just on the topics of how this all pertains so deeply and spiritually with the journey of motherhood or parenthood. Why it's so important to do our own work, because otherwise our stories get translated down to our children. And so this conversation for me, Danaysi, is especially poignant right now, because these are the kind of conversations that I'm having with myself, the kind of work that I'm doing. It suddenly becomes urgent when you've got a little one. Or for those of you who are not watching on video and didn't see that, I just stood up and showed my big belly, my very big belly at this point. And you said, like, what I want to leave people with is it's okay to focus on yourself. It's almost like kids force us to do that. They trick us. They trick us, because in our minds, we're telling ourselves, well, I'm not really doing it for myself. I'm doing it for this child that I love, this being. But because we love them so much, and because we want to set them up so well, we then recognize, ooh, and especially before they even exist in the physical realm, right, outside of our bodies, is that we then get this opportunity to do the work for ourselves in preparation for this being. At least that's what I'm doing right now. So just wanted to share that with you before we close out.
That is so important. That is so important. So many times I said, I wish I would have done this work before I had a baby. Like, I wish this was even possible before I had a child, so that I didn't have to be doing all this work and tend to someone and feel the guilt and the shame still rising through me. It's so magical that you're able to welcome this new life from a completely different energy and a completely different space, that you're able to, show them a new world.
Danaysi, thanks for letting me share that personal piece with you. And thank you so much for joining me today. To our listeners, if you're interested in learning more about Danaysi and her practice, or the Lunar Cycle program that she offers, we will have all of her information in the show notes, so you can go check that out and reach out to her directly. And Danaysi, it's been a pleasure. We'll see you next time.